don't want to beat the skin softening thing to death, but since it's such a very, very popular thing for portraits of women, on men, of course, we don't soften the skin. We actually accentuate every texture by sharpening the living daylights out of it so the skin looks real bumpy and, all that kind of stuff. But with women, of course, we're trying to make the skin look smooth. And here's the thing. I want to give you another thing to do to help bring back the texture. So, and it's a very popular method of doing this. It's very simple, but I want to go over it with you. Anytime before we do skin softening, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of retouch first, get rid of any little blemishes. So let's blast these out of here real quick. Take it 30 seconds to get rid of them, but makes your job much easier. And very little to do here, so we're in pretty good shape. A couple little clicks with the healing brush, and we're there. And get rid of that. And here, there, and I think we're about there, eh? Well, there's probably, we could go a little further, but that's enough for what we need to do today. All right, so now go ahead and apply whatever skin softening technique you like. Let's duplicate the layer. We'll apply a big blur. That's fine. Let's drop it down to 50%. Let's go ahead in here, hide the blurry layer. So you recognize this from earlier, and then that brush might be a tad too big. Let's bring the brush down to a size that people on Earth might actually use. We'll paint in white, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint over her skin areas, leaving everything else pretty much untouched. So any detail areas we don't soften, and we're going to soften all this up real quick. Now I'm leaving the opacity set at 50%, which is higher than I would normally use it, but it's going to help me illustrate this point. We are kind of getting the porcelain look to the skin here, as you can see. And although it's not my personal favorite look, I know that a lot of people do like the porcelain look, so I'm not going to pretend it's not out there and that some people don't like it, because some people do like it, or everybody doesn't like it. But it's, all of the retouching is a matter of your own personal taste. And you can watch people debate this online all day long of what they feel should be right, and one retoucher says one thing and one says another. So you'll have to come up with, like everything else in Photoshop, you'll have to come up with, what are your rules for retouching based on the techniques that you've learned. All right, so we're getting kind of close, and you can take a little more. I'm doing this obviously quickly because I want to make you sit here for very long while I'm doing all this stuff, but I think it's worth kind of getting most of it in place. I'm just trying to avoid all the detail areas as best I can. Okay, so let's take a look at hold on, remember we do our option click on the mask, alt click on the mask to see what we've missed, and you can see I absolutely missed some areas. You see why you've got to go back and do this at the end? You just got to, because you'll miss all these little areas. There we go. Okay, so now we're option clicking back. And so here's our before and after skin. So you can see it's greatly smoothed it. If it were me, I'm going to take this down to more like 35%. So I really want to see some skin texture. But what you can do, and a lot of people do, this is a very popular technique, is to leave it a little higher like this, so it's really, really smooth. Flatten the image, then go in here, duplicate the layer, and you're going to add some noise. So go in here, and there's a couple different ways to do this. One is to add apply the noise. Go to Add Noise. You're going to turn on Gaussian and monochromatic, and you're going to just apply enough noise to where you can actually see it in the image. So 4% in this case might be a little bit much. Let's just drop down to maybe 3, and let's see what that looks like. I'm using the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard. All right, so this is a little lower res image, so let's go down to maybe 2. In this case, 2. Let's turn on and off the preview, and you can see, look at the skin texture it brought back, right? So it looks like it's not real texture, but it is noise, and it looks, it gives the appearance of, wow, look at that skin texture. So we'll click OK. Then you're going to hide that behind a mask, and then you're just going to paint, because you don't want noise on our eyes, right? So, but you are going to want it here on our skin. So now we're going to go back. We've super softened the skin, and this is the trick for getting back some of that texture. It's fake texture, but it is texture, and most of the time, this is done so often. You'll probably be very surprised how often this is done. And because you do see some texture, you feel like, well, it's real. So very, very commonly done. I'm not breaking any new ground here. This is such a popular way to do this. There we go. And I mean, you got to admit, it does. Okay, we have to go do this and see how I'm doing here. I missed a few spots. And let me just look and see how we do. Let me look around. I'm probably not getting in here and stuff the way I should. But you get the idea, right? You're going to take more time than I did. But look at the difference this adds, okay? So you can see, look at the texture here. Then you go up here. And look, it does absolutely add what looks like skin texture. Now again, you've got a control here. You can decide if you want less or more. All right. Now the other method some people will do is rather than this, and it's up to you, is they'll go and create a brand new layer. Just go new layer. They'll make soft light their mode, fill it with a 50% neutral, and then they will just apply the noise here instead. So you can, and they'll have to apply a little bit more noise, but then it'll apply this way. Then they can decide where to keep it or where to remove it with a mask. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, but some people think that's a better way to do it. It's really up to you. But anyway, so there you go. There's another way to keep some texture. One more thing I want to mention. We have one more thing to do in this arena, but before we do, another way of blurring that some people also, remember earlier I showed you also like, let me finish the sentence, some people also like. Number one was I showed you how to do the surface blur. I showed you how to do a Gaussian blur. There are people who prefer a median blur. They actually prefer to apply a median effect to it. So it's just a different kind of blur. I'll just hide this one for you real quick. Actually, let's go ahead and duplicate this. This will be our after image, okay? So we'll go, and that way I can revert this one to where we started. You'll see the difference. Yeah, so if you want a real quick before and after, I can really show you now. Let's drag this on top. Let's merge these together. Drag this on top and look at the before and after. Yeah, it looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Okay, and again, because it's on its own layer, you would have control over how it's done. Okay, now, here's the other method of blurring. So you would duplicate the layer, of course getting rid of all the little blemishes first, that's always important. You would duplicate the layer and run the median filter. So you'll go under noise and choose median, and it just does a different kind of smoothing as you raise the radius. You can see it's just, that's probably a little high. There we go, maybe somewhere in there. I just kind of wait until the texture goes away. Let's see if 3 will. 3 actually in this case shows a little more texture. There we go. So you would go to 4, kind of blur the whole thing, then you're going to hide it, right? Come back and then paint it in, and you can see it has a different kind of softening effect. So why am I showing you all these ones? Which one's the right one? The one that looks best to you. So it's one. Those are the 3 probably most popular. To me, this is just to me, the median looks blotchier than the other ones, just to me. But I know some people go, oh, I swear by median, so I thought it's important to show you them all and you can make the choice for yourself. Okay, so that's that. Getting a little extra texture using the little noise, that noise texturing trick.